Hello everyone. Today my presentation topic is going to be performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is the process of assessing employee performance by way of comparing present performance with already established standards which have been already communicated to the employees, subsequently providing feedback to the employees about their performance level for the purpose of improving their performance as needed by the organization. The very purpose of performance appraising is to decide whether training is needed to that particular employee or whether he should be promoted or demoted or removed from the organization in case of poor performance. What is performance? What does the term performance actually mean? Employees are performing very well when they are productive. Productivity implies both concern for effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness refers to goal accomplishment, however, it does not speak of the cost incurred in reaching the goal. This is where efficiency comes in. Efficiency evaluates the ratio of inputs consumed to the outputs achieved. The greater the output for a given input, the greater the efficiency. In addition to productivity as measured in terms of effectiveness and efficiency, performance also includes personal data such as measures of accidents, turnover, absences, and tardiness. That is, a good employee is the one who not only performs well in the terms of productivity but also minimizes problems for the organization by being to work on time and not by missing days and minimizing the number of work related accidents. What is appraisal? Appraisals are judgments of the characteristics, traits, and performance of others. On the basis of these judgments, we assess the worth or the value of others and identify whether what is good or bad. Now let's look into some definitions given by scholars. According to Dale S. Beach, performance appraisal is a systematic evaluation of the individual with respect to his or her performance on his job and his or her potential on the development. According to Randall S. Schuler, performance appraisal is a formal, structured system of measuring and evaluating an employee's job-related behavior and outcomes to discover how and why employee is presently performing on the job and how the employee can perform more effectively and efficiently in the future. How often should appraisals take place? Performance appraisal in any organization will be done at a specific period like annually or half yearly or quarterly or maybe even regularly. It all depends on the size and nature of the organization and sometimes the necessity of the managers to decide the period of performance appraisals of their employees. Now, the processes that are included in performance appraisal are the first one, that is, the objectives of the performance appraisal are decided. And the second process is that the different job expectations are communicated to the employees. And the third is designing an appraisal program. The fourth one is appraising the performance. The fifth is the performance interviews. The sixth process is using this data for appropriate purposes. The seventh step is to identify the opportunity variables, and the eighth the next step is using social processes, physical processes, and human computer assistance for getting the final result. There are different methods which are used for performance appraisal, which are both modern and the traditional approaches. The past-oriented methods, which are the traditional approaches, the different methods are the first one being the rating scales. In rating scales, it consists of several numerical scales representing job-related performance criterion such as dependability, initiative, output, attendance, attitude, etc. Each scale ranges from excellent to poor. The next one is checklist. Under this method, checklist of statements of traits of employees in the form of yes or no based questions is prepared. Here the rater only does the reporting or checking and HR department does the final evaluation. The next one is forced choice method. This a series of statements arranged in blocks of two or more are given and rater indicates which statement is true or false. The next method is forced distribution method. Here, the employees are clustered around a high point on a rating scale. Rater is compelled to distribute the employees on all the points on the scale. The next method is critical incidence method. In this method, it focuses on certain critical behaviors of employee that makes all the difference in the performance. Supervisors, as and when they occur, record such events. The next method is behavior anchored rating scales. Statements of effective and ineffective behavior determine the points. They are said to be behaviorally anchored. The rater is supposed to say which behavior describes the employee's performance. The next one is field review method. This is an appraisal done by someone outside the employees on department, usually from a corporate or an HR department. The next method is performance test and observations. This is based on the test of knowledge or skills. The test may be written or an actual presentation of the skills. The next step is confidential records, mostly used by government departments. However, its application industry is not ruled out. The next method is essay method. In this method, the rater writes down the employee description in detail within a number of broad categories like overall impression of the performance, promotability of employee, existing capabilities and qualifications of performing jobs, strengths and weaknesses, and training needs of the employee. Another method is cost accounting method. Here, performance is evaluated from monetary returns yield to his or her organization. The last method in the past-oriented method is comparative evaluation method. According to this method, there are a collection of different methods that compare performance with that of the other co-workers. The usual technique used may be ranking methods and paired comparison method. Now let's move on to future-oriented methods. In future-oriented methods, the first method is MBO, that is management by objectives. It means the management by objectives and the performance is rated against achievement of objectives stated by the management. The process goes as under, that is establish goals and decide outcomes for each subordinate, setting performance standards, establishing new goals and new strategies for goals not achieved in the previous years. The second method in the modern approach is psychological appraisals. These appraisals are more directed to assess employees' potential for future performance rather than the past one. It is done in the form of in-depth interviews, psychological tests, and discussion with supervisors. The next method is assessment centers. An assessment center is a central location where managers may come together to have their participation in job-related exercise evaluated by trained observers. Assessees are requested to participate in in-basket exercise, work groups, computer simulations, role play, and other similar activities which require same attributes for successful performance in actual job. The last method in modern approach is 360-degree feedback. In this technique, there is a systematic collection of performance data on an individual group derived from a number of stakeholders like immediate supervisors, team members, customers, peers, and self. In fact, anyone who has useful information on how an employee does a job may be one of the appraisers. Now let's move on to the difference between traditional approach and modern approach. When it comes to guiding values, in traditional approach it is more individualistic, control oriented and documentary, while in modern approach it is systematic development and problem solving. In leadership styles, in traditional approach it is directional and evaluative, while it is facilitative and coaching in modern approach. Frequency is occasional in traditional approach, and while it is frequent in modern approach. Formalities are high in traditional approach and very low in modern approach. Rewards are individualistic in traditional approach and grouped and organizational in modern approach. Now, coming to the use of performance appraisal, after the performance appraisal, it can be used for giving the employees promotions and confirmation. It can be also used for training and development. Then for compensation reviews, it can be used for competency building To improve the communication between employees, different members of the organization, the performance appraisal can be used. Evaluation of HR program, and for the last use of performance appraisal is that it can be used for feedback and preventions. And with this, my presentation comes to an end. Thank you.